Hi folks, back from Maryland with another video. Today we're looking at the Raddy RF919. I've been looking forward to receiving this radio, which Raddy supplied to me for purposes of reviews, so thanks to them. Looking forward to it because I've seen a number of other YouTube reviews of it and the initial Raddy videos put up on their website, and I was very impressed with this receiver's capabilities. And just initially have to say that they really hit it out of the park in a number of areas with this receiver in terms of bandwidths, the fact that you have the ability to record to micro SD, which is something we really have seen in few other portable radios. The solid build of this thing is just amazing. The huge speaker, which promises to deliver some heavy-duty bass and great audio. The coverage of this thing from long wave all the way up to near 1,000 megahertz is pretty impressive. But I wanted to bring a couple things to your attention. I don't know what it is. Most of the YouTube reviewers I see these days really kind of miss the ballpark when they're doing reviews of these radios. That was the case for the initial reviews of the Choyoung LC90, which is still a receiver in progress, and it's the same case where the RF919 is concerned. I mean, everybody's focusing on the features of this radio, but there's at least one huge elephant in the room with this radio. Let me get it for you. Actually have it powered on here. Focus is going to move in and out, but you know what it looks like basically. It's got beautiful main display. It's got a separate LCD for the meter, and really I'm still starting out going through its features. So I'm going to put it down there for a minute. But let me make a couple points. First of all, this receiver unfortunately suffers from something that we know all too well about in portables over the years, and that is muting while tuning. What can you say? Some portables out there have managed to either avoid muting while tuning or minimize the fraction of a second, that it affects the signal as you tune. An example would be the XH Data D808, which actually has pretty minimal muting. Another example is one of the Eaton portables, which actually have muting while tuning. We'll have one of those some years ago, and I immediately returned it. So the problem with the RF919 is that muting while tuning, whether you're in 5 kilohertz increments or you're down in 10 hertz, is pretty severe. Let me explain what muting does, because I think this is something that a lot of the current day users of portable radios just don't get. Muting by tuning means that as you're tuning, from frequency to frequency, whether it's 5 kilohertz, whatever your increments are that you've set, whether you're fine-tuning, as you turn that tuning knob, whether it's the main knob or the fine-tuning knob, in the case of the RF919, the audio that you hear blanks out. And the problem with that is that, and again, it's not as serious these days because there are far fewer stations on the air, but basically that doesn't allow you to hear where you're going. It doesn't allow you to hear the change in the sound between, frequency. Let's say you're on, 9855 and you're going to 9860 or 9845, 9850. You cannot hear the progression. There's no continuity of sound. And this, in my view, and I know others agree with me, is a pretty bad problem on portable radios. It's something that really didn't have to be in this RF919, and I'm sure this is something that Raddy can work on and modify in future firmware versions of this receiver. It's too bad that, as far as I know, this receiver is not it doesn't have internet, so you can't upgrade it, easily over the air. So there's no Wi-Fi in it, and one wonders whether you could actually do an upgrade using the micro SD card slot. So we'll have to find out about that down the line. But anyway, so that's a huge elephant in the room for the RF919, muting while tuning. Again, if you're listening to FM and with this radio speaker, I mean, that's going to be a very enjoyable activity. It may not be as noticeable or as serious an issue, but certainly when it comes to shortwave, even medium wave AM, muting while tuning is just like one of the original sins. So I have gotten to Raddy with my initial views on that. The other thing that I notice about this, and this again is often a quality control issue, is the fact that in lower sideband and upper sideband, which this radio has enabled, the frequency accuracy is not spot on. The zero beat cannot be achieved on this particular unit. For example, there's as much as 200 hertz to as much as 1 kilohertz of error from the 0 point of the frequency you're tuned to. So again, take the example of one of the stronger stations, let's say 9330, 9330, zero beat would be below by 200 hertz or above by as much as 1 kilohertz. So you cannot clarify the voice, clarify the the sound of the signal and the person speaking without off tuning. Now, at least single sideband on this radio is working properly, as properly as SSB can work on these portables. Again, the comparison would be the Choyung LC90, which has SSB that was implemented through firmware, and it really isn't really capable of doing true SSB at this point. But here's the Raddy RF919. Arguably, it's their flagship portable, and it seems like, at least in this initial unit that I've received, the zero beat is not spot on. Now, people are going to say the portable radios, the internal oscillators can't be that exact, but actually, if you go back to some of the more classic portables from decades ago, like even the small Sony SW100 or the SW01, the Grundigs, it was possible in some of these. Another example would be the old Sony SW1000. On the two SW1000s that I have here, they're exactly on zero beat, within just 10 hertz. So it is possible to achieve. The difference, of course, today is that you have these DSP receivers. Whether this is a QC issue, that in the factory line they're not fine adjusting these things as they go out the door, whether this is just something that Raddy didn't think about, I'm not sure. So anyway, I wanted to give you that quick 1 or 2 point look at this receiver. It's a beautifully made and beautifully designed unit, and I will have more to say about this. I get blurring out from my background setting here. Right now, I have to say, major disappointment to see that this Raddy RF919 suffers from muting while tuning. It's something that could have been avoided. I hope Raddy takes my advice to heart, and perhaps in future versions somehow is able to fix that muting issue. Okay, that's it for now. I'll be back when I know more about this receiver after I've used it for a while, but I wanted to get those points out to you for those of you who were just as excited about this radio as I was. It's still a very interesting radio. I would say, if it were not for the muting issue, this would easily be at or near a 5.0 in terms of portable radios. Amazing that we get something like this out of the blue from a company in China. But I really am disappointed that the muting issue is there, which kind of knocks the radio down to at least to a 4 in my book. All right, thanks for listening, and thanks for watching, and I'll be back once again. Bye-bye.